folks, welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. And today, I brought a woman that has been on the show a long time ago, and we're going to find out right now how long ago that was. From Channel 12, the anchor from Channel 12, Kim Kalunian. Everybody knows who she is. How are you, Kim?
What an introduction. Thank you, Bob. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's been a long time.
It's been more than 10 years because the last
Come
time,
on.
Yes, the last time I was here, I was working at WPRI Radio, which is where I worked before I joined the team
Wow.
at 12. So, long time, but it's great to be back.
Wow, that's over 10 years.
Yes.
Right? 11 years, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, probably 2014 was when I was on.
And you were single then too, I think.
Well, I was with my husband, but we
Right.
weren't married yet.
Okay.
We got married in 2017.
And when?
2017.
2017.
Yes.
Yeah, that's 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Well-
not good at math, Bob,
No?
so don't put me on the spot.
Really? Well, I am pretty good at math. So
Okay,
I
well,
get
you
it.
just
I'll
did-
pick up
you
the
just
slack.
did it,
I'll pick
yes.
up that slack for
We're a
you.
good team.
All the rest you can pick up the slack for you. And you have a child now, a beautiful little girl.
Yes, she is going to be 3 in May, which is hard to believe, but she's just amazing, and toddlerhood is so fun.
That is the best.
It's the best,
The
right?
best. Absolutely the best. If I could have kids and they stay at between 2 and 6, I'd have 20 of them.
I love to hear that because you often hear about the terrible 2s.
Nah.
We didn't have that experience.
No.
She's amazing, so she's a lot of fun.
You get a little bit of that, tantrum stuff.
We all have
sometime.
tantrums though, right?
Exactly. And, the kids will be kids, you know?
Yep, no one can feel super happy 100% of the time. So what do we expect from the little
Right,
ones? They're
there you
figuring
go.
it all out.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, is she a daddy's little girl or is she a mommy's girl?
She's definitely a combo. I mean, she loves to play and do activities with her dad, and then we have the stuff that we do together, and it's fun because I like to see how her personality differentiates between like what she likes to do with me and what she likes to do with my husband. So it's fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think? Have you picked out what she's going to be when she grows up? Come on, you had to think about it.
She's very adventurous. We have this working theory. My mother and I have this working
There
theory.
you go. I knew it.
You know that she's going to be an astronaut.
Oh, there you go. Not the one that's stuck up there for all these months now.
I hope not, although Sunny Williams is amazing.
Can you imagine? I was thinking about this, but I think weird anyway. Think about, she's been up there. She's supposed to be up for a week or 10 days or something like that, right? What's 8 months now?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's going to do something to you.
In June, it'll be a year, right? Is it June?
That sounds right.
It might be, yeah.
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 Much longer than they anticipated.
Yeah, much longer than 10 days, 9 or 10 days.
And I think she's from Massachusetts, Sunny Williams. She has
Yeah.
like a local connection. But she was just on maybe CBS the other day talking about how it's kind of a blessing in disguise that she's been stuck up there because she's gotten to talk to so many students from space and
Right.
do all of this stuff that she wouldn't have been able to do in just that 1 week if she had only been there for that amount of time.
And how about him? How about the astronaut? The male astronaut there. What's his name? I can't even think of his name.
What's his name? I know Sonny, but I think his name is maybe Butch. Is it Butch Williams? Butch Wilmore?
I think you're close.
I wish I could fact check myself. But yeah, I think he's got sort of the same attitude. I think you have to be built a certain way
Apparently.
to be an astronaut,
yep.
to sort of take whatever comes at you, and they've really handled it well. I mean, talk about mental fortitude, right?
And the physical aspect too, because I know when they come back, they can't even walk.
Right, because they've been in 0G for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
I see them, they get taken out and they're carrying them, one on each side. They carry them out of the...
So I don't know, maybe my daughter will do that someday. I'd be awfully proud, but truly, whatever she does, whatever makes her happy, that's all I care about.
Now I'm thinking the crazy way about the 2 astronauts up there. Mm-hmm. It's a male and a female, and they're stuck in space together
They sure are.
for all this time.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about their significant others, thinking
What do you think?
if they're thinking if either one of them's a jealous individual, there's a problem.
Well, I also think if you're the spouse of an astronaut, you also have to be hardwired a certain way because they go on these missions. It's life or death. You don't know when they'll come back, how they'll come back. So I think you have to, you know what you're signing up for.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. That would make sense because otherwise they could play with their head.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it's not been a cakewalk for anybody, but they've all seemingly handled it very well.
And by the way, they're not up there alone.
No.
There are Russians up there. There's a Japanese astronaut up there.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are other countries there too. I'm sure there's a couple other countries there.
Yeah.
I think there's like 10 or 12 astronauts total, but they're all in their own
Right,
segments.
in the
like their own
International
room. But they
Space
come out, they hang out. I wonder if they play volleyball.
It would be interesting to play volleyball in zero gravity, so why not?
Or anything, even playing catch.
Play cards.
Yeah, that would be hard. It'd be hard to hide the cards from anybody. You couldn't see the other side. I mean, you could see the other side of the card, no matter what. Now, where'd you grow up?
Warwick.
Really? For some reason, I thought East Providence.
No,
Why
I'm
did
a
I
West
think
Bay girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why did I think East Providence? Maybe because, what's your ancestry? Not nationality, your ancestry.
My ancestry?
Because nationality is where you were born,
Right.
which is the United States.
Okay, so I'm American.
Right. That's
But-
your nationality, but your ancestry.
I'm
That's where I get people.
I'm Armenian.
Oh, really?
Yes, half Armenian.
What's the other half? Portuguese?
No, I'm not Portuguese to my knowledge. I think it's sort of like German, Irish, Swedish.
All blondes.
Yes, but no blondes in my family.
Well, because you're more Armenian.
That's right.
That's the dominant,
That's right.
right?
Yes. Yes. So my dad is Armenian. My last name, Kalunian, is an Armenian
Right.
name. And then, yeah, my mom is sort of a mix of all sorts of stuff. So, yeah.
There you go. That's
There I
that's where you
go.
come
Here
out of.
I am.
But I don't know why I thought Warwick for some reason.
Well, Warwick is
I mean,
where...
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I thought East
EP.
Providence. You're from Warwick.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
So I went to John Brown Francis Elementary School in Warwick, which is now an early learning center. And then from there, I would have gone to Aldrich and Pilgrim if I had stayed in the public school system, but I went to Moses Brown.
Oh, excuse me.
Go
Moses
Quakers.
Brown.
Woo.
I talked to a friend of mine to get twins, 8-year-olds, and they were talking about going to Moses Brown. I can't believe what it costs to go there now.
It's very expensive, but there is financial aid available to
Right,
people.
right.
So
But I mean, it's gotten a lot more expensive. since you
everything
were there.
has, right?
Yeah,
Everything has.
crazy expensive.
Yeah,
to
it's
go
an
there now.
expensive school.
To send 2 kids there, they're twins, twin boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be crazy money to go
Yeah,
there now.
it's a great school. I loved my time there. The teachers were amazing. I feel like it really set me up for success and have so many fond memories of Moses Brown. I still go back and visit. We have a
Right.
career day coming up where I'll be talking to some kids about what I do, and it's great. It's a special place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you always want to be on TV or radio or actually communications?
Well, I grew up as a theater kid. I loved performing. I started dancing when I was 2.
I can see that. I can see you doing that. Yeah.
Thanks. So yeah, I sort of, the stage was my first love, and live theater and live performance, and so I grew up doing that and thought that I would pursue that professionally, but then I got accepted to NYU, was supposed to go there, deferred, and decided to continue working at the Warwick Beacon newspaper, which is where I had done a
The
internship.
who was the boss there at the time?
John Howell.
He was there? Yeah.
Oh, and he still is.
Oh, I know he is.
He recently just sold the newspaper to Joy Fox, but John is still very much at the helm editorially, and he's fabulous. And so he sort of taught me everything I know about writing in AP style and going out and finding a story and interviewing people. And I like to say I went to the John Howell School of Journalism.
There you go.
So, and sort of that's how I got my start with this path. And then from there went to the radio station and then to TV. So I did newspapers, radio, and then television.
PRO AM or
Yes.
FM?
Yes,
AM.
AM. Yep.
And you did the news there?
Yeah. So I was doing the news every half hour. I originally got hired to write for their website, and then over time started doing some on-air stuff, and then a position opened up. Carolyn Cronin, remember her? She was the news anchor in the afternoons on
Right.
WPRO. She left for another opportunity, and I said, can I try this out? And they gave me a chance. They gave me a shot, and so I was in the news anchor chair in the afternoons for about, I want to say it was a little over a year, because I was at PRO for 2.5 years.
Right.
But yeah, it was a great experience. It was a great time. Learned a lot.
Now, what time of the day do you work? Afternoons?
Yeah, so I would anchor from about 12:30 until 6:30 every half hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just quick hits at the top and bottom of the hour, you know, a 3-minute update at the top of the hour and then a couple of minutes at the bottom of the hour.
Now, who were the the radio guys?
The
back
radio hosts at that
then?
time.
Wasn't DePietro and was it DePietro then?
So
there then?
the lineup, I'm trying to think, the lineup at the time, I think it was Gene in the morning, John DePietro at 9, I think it was Dan at noon, Buddy at drive time, 3 to 6, and then Matt Allen
at
after
night.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. It was great.
Matt Allen was on this show when he first started radio. He had to get a Saturday morning show on Pro.
Yeah.
And the heck is the name of the show? He was here with, could have been Jen Breen?
Sure, that sounds right.
I think so. I
That
think
sounds
it was him and they started to, it was a crazy name for a show, but it was a Saturday morning show.
I love Matt.
Yeah, he's a
Such
cool
a
guy.
fan. Such a fan.
Yeah, he hasn't been on in a long time either.
Well, Matt,
Come
come
to think of
on.
it.
Come back
Yeah.
to Bob.
Exactly. Now he lives in Connecticut, I think.
Does he?
I think so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I found that out during the pandemic. He was writing it out, doing the show from home.
Oh, yeah,
and
so
he
many of them
mentioned
do.
something about Connecticut. That's why I picked that up. And I'm 90% sure that he lives just across the border.
Okay.
Like Killington or one of those towns.
Something
or
like that.
Jewett City, one of those towns that are right along
Yeah,
the border.
yeah.
Stonington or something. One of those cities. I like to find out where everybody comes from, where everybody lives.
Where our roots are.
Where your roots are, yeah. Well, famous person that you dealt with, the most famous person that you dealt
The
with.
most famous person that I've dealt with. Well, I mean, I told you I'm a theater kid.
Right.
I had the opportunity to interview Liza Minnelli over the phone, which was really fun. That
Right.
was during my radio days. I'm trying to think, like, in terms of people that I've met who are super famous. I'm probably forgetting somebody. But, I mean,
I'm
I've
kind of putting you on the spot because I did look up the question you gave me.
well, I mean, I talked to Jay Leno before. Most of the
Speaking of, I'm going to stop you right there.
yeah.
You're sitting in his seat.
This is the Jay Leno seat.
That's right. He
Cool.
sat in that seat.
Oh, that's cool.
He was in Rhode Island doing an event at PPAC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Joe Rocco was the MC.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Rocco here, Jay Leno there.
Wow.
This set was on the stage
Oh.
at PPAC.
Wow.
And after Jay Leno did his show, which was phenomenal.
Oh, sure.
He did like an hour and a half of stand-up.
Yeah.
Then he sat down with Joe, and Joe interviewed him.
Yeah.
And after the show was over, they auctioned off the set.
And you bought it?
I did.
Wow, that's cool. That's a great story.
And what was funny was there was 2 other guys bidding on it. And as soon as they opened the bid, I made a bid, right?
Yeah.
Another guy made a bid, and the third guy made a bid. And I come running down. I was about 12 rows back. I come running down to the stage. I said, Joe, I want that set. And Joe he goes, oh, you know who this is? This is Bob from An Hour with Bob.
Yeah.
He says, guys, this set's got to go to him. And they backed off, and I got it.
Wow.
Yeah, I got it cheap too.
That's great. That's great.
And even the carpet.
It's nice. It's nice. Jay Leno approved.
Yeah. No, he was there. We talked. We sat and talked. Unfortunately, I didn't get video of that. But
Well, Jay Leno, you have to come to An Hour with Bob now
that's right.
too.
But I've been when he was in L.A. I was on the Tonight Show. Not while it was on camera.
Wow.
I was on the show the night I was at the show. Well, backtrack a little bit. A couple months earlier, I had gotten a call from a friend of mine's friend who I did not know, but ironically, I had went to college with his cousin. His name was Marty Perlow, the guy I went to college with. This guy's name is Bob Perlow, who's from Pawtucket.
Okay.
And he had moved out to L.A. with Jay Leno. They left New England together
Wow.
to seek fame and fortune. They were both comedians. They moved to California. They
It
drove
worked
to
out.
California. And across country, they worked at different places. And they got to California, and Jay Leno got the part, and he took him with him. he became the opening act for Jay Leno. So before they went on TV,
Yeah.
he would open the crowd. And he'd also explain to them all the things. You applaud for this. When the light goes on, you do this. And,
Yeah.
and you know when Jay Leno used to shake hands with a whole bunch of people?
Sure. Yeah.
He would tell them, don't close your hand when you shake his hand. Just hold your hand open. Because you didn't want anybody pulling him off the stage.
Oh, sure.
Well, this guy told me, he says, I heard you going out there, because I used to go visit, my grandfather lived in Newport Beach. He says, I understand, he heard from a mutual friend of mine, of ours, that I was heading out that way in a few weeks. He says, hey, why don't you come visit? He said, I'll get you into the Tonight Show. I said, yeah, you can do that, yeah. So I went out there, I go to the Burbank, and I go to, as he told me, I go to the secretary, and they hand me passes, and they also hand me these cards, these pieces of cardboard. Just make sure you're holding that in your hand. We go out into the line, and Jay Leno had the biggest audience in television. It was 378 people, I'm pretty sure. So we're way in the back. We're way at the end. And this is like 3 hours before the show.
Sure.
And by the way, that show's filmed at 5:30.
Right, not at 11:30.
Same thing with Letterman, same thing with all of the shows.
Yeah.
They're not at night.
Right.
Anyway, we're standing in the back of the line. This guy comes walking down with a clipboard. He spots me. He says, what's your name, sir? I said, Bob. What's your last name? I tell him Venturini. He goes, is he with you? I go, yeah. He goes, come with me. Wheels is by everybody. And like Moses opened up the water there. They opened the doors, and in we go. And he says, look, you can look at anything, but don't move anything. Don't move anything around, but you can check it out. And they let us stay in there.
Wow.
So while we're in there, my cameraman says, look at this. They had 2 chairs in front of all the other chairs, right in the front, and a tape on it, and it says, for Bob V.
Wow.
Which was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And that night they had Felissa Lockhart,
Oh,
Ellie
yeah.
McBeal.
Mm-hmm.
I always
Oh,
messed
I
up.
remember,
Is it Felissa
yeah.
Lockhart or Calissa Flockhart?
Callista Flockhart. Yeah,
Calissa.
I think so.
Calissa Flockhart.
I think so.
Who's she with now?
No idea.
Wait a minute, yeah.
Yeah?
Wait a minute, who's she with? She's, Harrison Ford.
Really?
Yeah. She's married to Harrison Ford.
I just learned something.
Yeah. She was there. She was in the middle, I guess, ended up in the middle. It was her, Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner come up first,
Yeah.
then her, then Goldberg, the wrestler.
Oh, wow. That's a good lineup.
It was a good line. And oddly, about 3 months earlier, I had interviewed Goldberg in Warwick.
Huh.
He had come to pay a favor to a guy I knew in Warwick for his kid's 5th birthday party.
Wow.
Kid was a wrestling fan, a 5-year-old.
Oh, my goodness.
And he liked Goldberg, the wrestler. And at the time, there was 2 wrestling federations. There was the one Hulk Hogan was the head of, and he was the head of this other one. They since merged. But I was invited there to this 5-year-old's birthday party, and lo and behold, and he told me Goldberg was going to be there. That's why I went. So sure enough, they set it up in the backyard. They set up two lounge chairs, and I'm interviewing Goldberg, the wrestler. And all the kids were behind us and around us, and they're all on camera. We did a whole hour.
Who's the most famous person that you've interviewed?
There's been a lot of them, actually, over the years.
I know.
There's been a lot of them. And when you say actresses, who's the one that was in Mary Poppins there? What's her name?
Julie Andrews?
Julie Andrews.
Wow.
Actually, my son interviewed her.
Cool.
Zachary interviewed her when he was 5 years old. We were at the Westin Hotel, and Kelly McGee from Channel 10 at the time, the anchor for Channel 10 at the time, was getting ready, setting up to interview her. And they had a couch, a love seat set up. And her cameraman set up the lights, like Corey and Ryan used to do here, setting up the lights. And she's getting ready to interview her. And she's getting all set to do the interview. And I'm sitting across with Zachary, waiting, hopefully to get a shot to say hi to her anyway. And my son, I always dressed him up. He always had a suit jacket on, right? A cute little suit jacket. And he knew how to hold the mic, and he knew how to hold the mic. And just getting ready to do the interview. And she's just going to sit down. And what's her name?
Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews says, oh my God, is he adorable? What's his name? is that your son? I go, yeah. She goes, come here, come here. She come over. She calls him over and she turns to Kelly and she goes, I want him to interview me.
That's fabulous.
No, it wasn't fabulous for Kelly McGee.
Well, did she get to interview her eventually?
Oh yeah, she did.
Okay.
She did. But he went over to her, but obviously he don't know the questions to ask her.
Yeah.
So I go over and I sit with him, and she says, "You mind if he sits on my lap?" I said, "No, go for it." So I asked Zachary if it's okay. And so he sits on his lap, and I'm feeding him the questions, and we did it for a while. It wasn't like a minute or two. We were there 10 or 15 minutes interviewing him.
That's fabulous.
It was pretty cute.
I love Julie Andrews.
Yeah,
She's great.
And I did run into her again a few years later, and she
Really?
remembered me, which was really
Wow,
really cute.
that is very special.
But there have been a lot of them. In fact, you know, on your station, years ago, I love to tell this story, and I'm interviewing you, by the way. Why is this happening?
I don't know. This is how it goes. I like being on the interviewer side of things, not the.
Really?
I like asking questions.
All right. Me too. Anyway, years ago, sitting in that seat when we were in the other studio, I had this very nice girl, young lady at the time, working for Channel 12, and I didn't realize it. She just started as a reporter for Channel 12, and she came on the show because I had seen her on TV, and I liked her style, and I said I had interviewed everybody on the stations, all the stations. I always interviewed everybody on the stations, right? So when she ever came and she told me, that almost right off the bat, I said, "How long you been with Channel 12?" She goes, 5 years. I said, 5 years? I just saw you. You just started being on TV. She goes, "Oh yeah, I just got my shot on TV a couple of weeks ago."
Wow.
Karen Adams was the head honcho there at the time.
Yeah.
And I go, "Where have you been?" She goes, "Well, I just answered, make the calls to the you know how that works. Call the police stations and all that stuff, find out anything going on, or if anything is going on, you call the stations and ask them about it." For 5 years? I said, "You've been doing that for 5 years?" I mean, she's beautiful on top of everything, and such a nice person. I couldn't believe it. I even said, "Who's running that station over there? Ray Charles and Ronnie, what's the other guy, the other blind guy there, the blind country singer, I can't think of it, Ronnie Millsap, I think that's his name." Anyway, I kind of threw them a dig for that. I could not believe it that they had held her back. So anyway, wait till I tell you who she is. So we did a whole interview. She was single at the time, had her on a couple years later. She had just gotten married, and I'm talking to her, and I said, and I didn't think she had enough confidence. And so I said to her, and I don't know why to this day I said it to her, but I said to her, I said, "You know something? You're going to be big in this business." And I really believe that. I said, "You're going to be big in this business, and I see you someday filling in for Katie Couric on the Today Show."
Wow.
That's what I said to her, which made no sense because she's with Channel 12. She's with CBS.
But you can change networks.
Today Show, well.
Point taken.
Point taken. About a month later, no, not even. A couple weeks later, I get a phone call from the cable studio. And somebody called the station wanting that show. So they called me to ask if they could give them a copy of the show. And I said, "Who?" And they said, "It's somebody from California." So how is this happening? Well, my show used to air before Cox ended up buying up all the other locals. This show used to air in 18 Massachusetts communities, including Harwich down the Cape. And there was a guy that from LA was vacationing, and his brother was an agent in LA. And he called his brother after seeing the show. He was so impressed by her.
Wow.
He called his brother. His brother said, see if you can get a copy of the tape, which they did. I get a call from her a couple months later. She goes, "You won't believe this. I got picked up by MSNBC."
Wow.
So now she comes on the third time. You
Yeah.
know, before she leaves, I think I had her right back. She says, I can't believe this. I'm so amazed that I got picked up. She's not on Today's Show, but she's on MSNBC.
Oh,
She
yeah.
got 2 o'clock in the morning show or something. It was 2 o'clock in the morning because I used to watch it. And so she was there for, I don't know, maybe a year. She called me again. She goes, "You will not believe this." I said, what? She goes, I am filling in for Katie Kirk tomorrow morning. Is that unbelievable?
That's amazing.
That is a true story. I've told that story many times.
Wow.
Yeah, she filled in for Katie Kirk. You know what she does now?
What?
What's the biggest position you could have on CBS? Where would it be? What city?
Oh, what city?
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
WCBS, right?
Yeah.
Who's the anchor?
Her.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Christine Johnson.
Wow.
Do you know that name?
I do now. I'm embarrassed to say
Christine
I didn't know
Johnson is the
Christine's
6
story.
p.m. and 11 p.m. anchor.
Amazing.
6 and 11. That's it, right? That's the top dog.
That's the top dog. 100%. Fabulous. Well, I have to look her up.
Yeah. KJ, if you ask Tony Petrarca, was very friendly with her.
Yeah.
Say to Tony Petrarca, Bob was talking about KJ.
Okay.
That's all you have to say. He'll know immediately
He'll know.
they were very friendly. That's how fast.
What a story. Getting discovered here on An Hour with Bob.
Tony Potts, remember that name?
Mm-mm.
Ooh. Well, you know what? By the way, I've been doing this so damn long. I'm in my 33rd year.
I know, that's a long
I'm in my
time.
33rd year.
I barely remember 33 years ago.
Yeah.
Barely.
Oh my God. Now I feel real old.
Sorry.
33 years, yeah. Tony Potts used to do the sports on Channel 12.
Oh, okay.
And he was on the show years ago. And he was on the show 2 or 3 times. He ended up getting a gig in LA.
Amazing.
He ended up doing a show with Pat O'Brien. Remember that name? From CBS Sports.
Mm-hmm.
They did a show together. He used to have, when he was with Channel 12, he had the upper deck. They used to call it the upper deck.
Okay.
They had built this a little staging area, and he would.
Oh, yes, yes.
Did he still have that?
No.
They had a staging area
But
that
in
he
our
would
old
walk up
newsroom,
to.
yeah.
Right? They called it the upper deck.
Yeah.
And Tony Potts used to do the gig up there.
There's been a lot of people who have come from the Providence TV market who have gone on to do some amazing things. So.
There was a blonde girl years ago that was on the Channel 12 that also ended up in LA. Can't remember her name though, but there was.
Yeah, there's been so many people, both at our shop and over at JAR. I mean, there's a whole host of people who have had some amazing careers that either started or at some point they came to Providence. Exactly.
Came through Providence.
Yeah.
What number is it? 42nd or something?
I think it's in the 50s now, either 52 or 53.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
How did it drop down?
Maybe more TV markets. As long as I've been with 12, it's been right around that.
I always thought it was in the 40s.
There's so many TV markets now. There's like 200 and change.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. All right, favorite story you ever did?
Favorite story I ever did. Well, my mind always goes right to this great story that actually Corey Welch, who I know used to work on this show, we shot together. We were out on a story about a missing boy who had some developmental delays. They were really searching for him. I think it was Central Falls. And we had spent the day talking to some of his teachers and volunteers out in the community who were looking for him, handing out flyers, talked to his mom. And
how long was he missing?
I think he had been missing for close to a day,
Oh,
I want to
God.
say. It was like pretty urgent. It was getting cold out and dark out.
Right.
At least several hours. Maybe he had gone missing that early that morning, and it was getting towards nighttime. And while it's very scary. And while we were talking to his mother, she got a phone call that they found him.
Oh.
And we captured that moment on camera and got to go with her when she was reunited with him. And being able to see that raw emotion and tell a story that had a really happy ending. Which you don't always get in the news, was amazing. I will never forget that day.
Because that would always bother me about I like doing what I do because I rule. I do what I want to do. I don't have to listen to anybody. I don't have to people telling me, you got to do this, you got to go there. I mean, I couldn't even think of going to someone's house to ask them about something they did wrong or talk to someone who lost a kid.
Yes.
What do you think now that you found your kid dead or something like that?
Yeah, it's the worst part of our job.
Oh my God, that would be awful.
But the thing that I always remind myself and that I try to tell people when they say, like, how can you be willing to go to pick up the phone and call someone who just lost a loved one? In many cases, it's cathartic for that person. Or they want to talk about their loved one in a way that isn't just about the awful thing that happened to them.
Right.
To remind people that they were a real human, a real
Right,
person with a family and
Something
friends.
about them, right?
Exactly. And so that's why I always want to try and give people the opportunity to talk about their loved one versus just having to passively observe it on the news. You know, I think they deserve that. So even though it's hard, it's really hard.
Oh, God. How about politics? How about that politician that was just nailed, the guy in Providence there?
Oh, for the DUI?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my husband does all of the political reporting for
You
Channel
want to
12.
say who your husband is? You want to say who your husband is?
Ted Nesi. So yeah, he does
I
all
wasn't going to bring it up, you know. You brought it up. So.
Well, you did ask me to say his name. And you did mention that you brought it up.
No, I asked
you brought it up,
off
Bob.
camera. I asked you. Did it? Wasn't it off camera that I said to you? Do you want to mention
It's fine. It's public knowledge. It's all good.
Okay.
We're both living very public lives. So yeah, Ted also works at Channel 12,
And I invited him, by the way.
he was busy. He wants to be here, but he was busy.
We'll catch him another time.
Another time, he'll
But I
come.
wanted to. It would have been nice to have you and your daughter.
Oh, it would have been great.
And Ted here.
It would have been
That
great.
would have been a fun time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Not
She
that
would have
this
been running
isn't,
laps
but that would have been.
around.
Oh, I love little kids.
the
I
studio.
absolutely love little kids. Absolutely. Like I said, I'd be like if I had the money that Musk has. We're talking about, I don't know if there's somebody here I was talking to about, do you know how many kids he has?
A lot.
I think 11.
That sounds
Is it right?
accurate. Yes.
I said that to somebody and he didn't believe it. I said, I'm not positive, but I think it's 11 kids that he has from
A lot of kids.
4 different women or 5 different women. But he can afford it.
Yes, he certainly can.
He can afford
He
it.
can afford more.
And I would have more, like I said. They'd always replace them once they get over like
Just
into
keep
the
having.
into the 10 or 12-year-olds. When they get to be a pain in the neck, I'd want more little ones.
How many kids do you have?
I have a couple. That's it.
A couple.
Yeah. But I don't have any little ones. I'd love
Right.
to have a little one.
Yeah. That's why you just got to enjoy it while it lasts. I'm just trying to enjoy
I tell people
her.
that every time I see somebody with a little kid and they're complaining or whatever about the kid, I said, you're going to miss it when they get older.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's true. I mean, I already in the close to 3 years, I missed little phases already that we went through. That I'm like, oh, is that the end of that already? Okay.
Well, the big trouble for you is going to be when she goes to school,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm gonna
That's
miss
number
her.
one. And then when she turns 13 and, Mom,
Doesn't want anything to do with me.
Mom, get out of
I
here.
know.
I'll see you when I get home. When I see you.
That's a long way away, though. That's a long way away.
Yeah.
I hope. I hope that's a long way away.
Who's intimidated you that you've had to interview?
Who's intimidated me? Well, I'll be honest. When I first started, I was intimidated by a lot of people.
Really?
I remember working at the Warwick Beacon and walking into the House chamber at the State House and being just intimidated to be surrounded by all of these lawmakers.
Right.
The House Speaker and the Senate
Who was
President.
the speaker? Johnny Howard?
It was Gordon Fox at the time.
Oh, okay, Gordon Fox. He came after Howard.
Yes. So I was intimidated then. I've been intimidated in a lot of situations in my younger years because it was just sort of the fear of the unknown or
Right.
the fear of, is the
Well,
person...
like you said, the first time you go into the State House.
Yeah.
After that, it was
It's kind
simple
of a
for you,
breeze
right?
now, and you get to know the people, and we're all just people. But I think when you're young, you just think, are they going to see through my lack of knowledge or my lack of experience, and what are they going to think of me? And then as you get older, you start to relax in your own skin a little bit more. So I hope I'm not as easily intimidated now, but
Oh no,
I
of
think
course
it's a
you're not.
natural.
Of course you're not.
a natural
But
thing.
that's a normal thing to go through.
And I mean, there's always people that you interview who hold, positions of authority or power that you want to show them a level of respect and
Right.
that type of thing. And you want to do a good job. And so sometimes that is intimidating, the pressure that you put on yourself to.
That's mostly what
perform.
what it is. It's the
Yes.
pressure you put on yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're talking about Howell.
Yeah.
We were roommates one time.
What?
Yeah. We were on a C-130. We were flying to Tezar, Hungary. We got 2 C-130s. You know what they are, right?
Yeah,
the big
sure.
planes, right? C-130, if you don't know it, folks, those are the planes that open up in the back and they can drive trucks or tanks right inside them. They carry a lot of stuff. They're called a Hercules, right? Anyway, we're in one of them, and we got another one following us, full of toys. And we're going to deliver toys to all the kids
Yeah.
in Tazar, Hungary, in and around the base, in the
Wow.
village of Tazar, Hungary. But they have no idea. Apparently, I didn't come to realize until I got there that they had no idea how many people were there because they brought way too many toys.
Wow.
So we're flying away, and we're flying like 3 hours in the air, and those planes do not fly fast because they're propellers planes,
Yeah.
and they're big, and they're very, very high, and the wind hits them. And a normal plane flies at between 500 and 550 miles an hour. These planes fly about 350.
Okay.
So we're plugging along, and all of a sudden, here comes the navigator, and he's got a roll of wire in his hand. He's got the headset on. He's dropping the line because they didn't have the wireless headsets. And he comes right down the corridor because they put a couple sets of Jack Reeds on the plane, the lieutenant governors on, Fogarty's on the plane, a bunch of dignitaries. 19 of us on the plane. And I'm sitting way in the back, and he comes walking down between us, and he walks over to, they don't have a lot of windows in those planes. They have little portholes. And he goes to the porthole, so I go, I got to see what he's doing. So I get up at the camera, and I go right over behind him, and I got the camera, and I look out, and what is he looking at? One of the propellers isn't spinning.
That seems bad.
That's not good.
That's not good.
And I must have made some kind of sound like, or something like that, because he turned around like that. And he's got a headset on. He turns around, he spots me, and he says, "Bob saw it," like that. And I hear the captain loud say, "Get him up here." You know why? They didn't want me to tell him. Wait, everybody was sleeping. They didn't want me. I'm sure that's why they didn't want me to stay there, because it would have panicked some people.
Right.
So up I go, and again, your former editor was on that plane. So I get up, and I end up sitting in the navigator's seat. He ends up in the jump seat, so I get the perfect spot. They got two pilots and me in the middle, a little back from, and flew. So they had to divert. So we don't go to Tazar, Hungary. We go to the Azores. So we land in the Azores, and we end up having to stay in a hotel, that hotel on the base, and we stayed there, and John was my roommate.
I love this story.
Isn't it cool?
This is great.
So we left there. The next day, they got us another plane, and we continued on to Tazar, Hungary.
Wow.
Yep.
So a little overnight in Portugal.
Well, twice, because on the way back, we had to pick that plane up.
Oh,
So
okay.
we got to stay there twice, and this is during Christmas.
Nice.
We left the 21st of December. We got home the 30th of December.
Oh, okay. So you spent Christmas over there.
We went to Christmas Mass, me and my good friend Reggie Centracchio. Well, we all did. But Reggie's become a good friend of mine. And we went to Christmas Mass, and we had found out that there were 2 orphanages in the next country, which was Bosnia. And Bosnia at the time was going through a war. The Bosnians and the Croatians were battling, and there was ethnic cleansing going on. You remember that? Hearing what that was all about?
Yeah.
In fact, what reminds me of that is that movie Behind Enemy Lines. Right? That movie, that's what it reminds me of, because that was about that, the Bosnian War. And we found out that there were 2 orphanages within 14 miles, but on the other side of the border, in war-torn Bosnia. And it was still going on. The fighting was still going on. So the coolest thing, one of the coolest things I ever experienced, it was decided amongst the general and other military people, and I put my 2 cents in, and they decided the next day we're going over there, because we had so many toys anyway.
Yeah.
And we took 10 Humvees, and we had a caravan of Humvees going through the countryside. It was the coolest thing.
All filled with toys?
Well, we had trucks too, but we had these Humvees and machine guns on a couple of them, because we're going into a foreign country. We're going to a country we're not supposed to be in.
Yeah.
And we went across the border, and at one point, I stuck my head up to the gun turret, and just to see, and they told me, no video, because this wasn't something we were supposed to be, or they were supposed to be doing. And I stuck my head up, and I looked behind us. We were like in the middle, one of the middle Humvees. I looked out in the front, and then I did snap a couple pictures. with the gun right in front of the gun, the 50 caliber machine gun, which I still have the pictures.
We should show them right now.
Yeah.
Bring up the picture.
Well, I got them on my phone, actually. We could put that up. No, I wouldn't want it. Well, he's not the general anymore, so he wouldn't get in trouble now.
Yeah,
But
that's
he
true.
would have got in trouble. He would have gotten a world of trouble had they found out about it while he was still the head of the National Guard.
Right.
Yeah. But he was the coolest guy. Reggie was the coolest guy. Anyway,
Reggie is great.
we went into the town, and we went to the orphanage, and it was unbelievable to deal with.
Yeah.
To see all those kids.
Yeah.
Between the two orphanages, there was like 480 kids.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. Terrible to have to. A lot of these kids, their parents were killed.
Of course, yeah.
The worst one was, and John, they were writing a story about the whole trip and everything, and it ended up being I was the main character. It turned out. Yeah, it was like a 5-page deal that in the Warwick Beacon.
I'm gonna have to look this up in the archives.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
What year was this? Do you remember?
Meg, the girl was the reporter. Her name was Meg. Blonde woman for the Warwick Beacon.
Oh, what year?
Oh, that was before you. That was 95 maybe.
95.
96,
okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it would have been, but
I think her
I'll
name
look
was
it up.
Meg. Yeah, I think it was. Oh, it wasn't only about me, but it was a lot about me. It was about me, how I reacted to the. At one point, they had a Santa Claus, but he was getting overwhelmed. So I decided to help out, and I ended up with a big line on my side, and I'm putting the kids on my knee, and they're telling me what they want for Christmas.
Aww.
And at one point, now at the time I got a little kid at home.
Yeah.
At one point, this 11-year-old kid gets on my lap. And I said, "Hey, what do you want for Christmas?" He said, "I want my parents."
Oh.
I knew this was a problem.
Yeah.
They both had gotten killed.
Ugh, that's devastating.
Yeah, the husband had seen the wife being accosted by soldiers, and he tried to stop it, and they killed him. And when they were done with her, they killed her, and the two kids watched the whole thing.
Oh. You wonder where they are today, right?
Oh,
Those
God,
kids.
yeah.
That's so hard.
Him and his younger sister. He was 11 and she was 9. Oh, God, that broke my heart.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Now that I bummed you out, now it's even
wow.
tough for me to talk about today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that sticks with you. But you were over there doing a good thing, bringing joy to those kids, and
yeah, it was a great. Plus, not only that, to the troops, because they got a big kick out of us there. You know,
I'm sure they did.
A little guy from a cable TV show that,
right.
But at least I represented the state. You know,
Of
I went
course.
over there to see them. You know,
Yeah.
they had been there like 8 months.
Wow.
And I interviewed a lot of them,
Yeah.
a lot of the males, females, all of them. We were there for Christmas dinner, the whole thing, you know.
That's amazing.
Almost to New Year's. We almost made New Year's.
Was that the only time you went over to do something like that?
Oh,
or-
no.
Wow.
But that was the biggest one that I had done.
Well, I remember the toy drives that you did at like the Warwick Mall and everything.
24 years I did that.
Wow.
Yeah. And we collected a lot of toys.
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds of thousands. The Marines told me that over the 24 years we collected, because it became very, very large.
Yeah.
And it only took 2 years. I was in the studio the first 2 years in Pawtucket, and it got overwhelmed right off the bat. They said, you know, you got Jack Reed's outside, Patrick Kennedy's outside in line. I said, bring them in. They said they won't come in. They want to stay in the line. They didn't want to cut the line.
Aww.
Yeah, and it was raining.
Yeah.
One of the years. So after the second year, I said, you got to find a better place to do this thing. And it was John Salona, Senator John Salona, real nice guy from North Providence, good friend. And he says, you know, would you like to do it at the Warwick Mall? I said, yeah, that would be great. He said, I'm good friends with Aaron Garabedian, and I'll see what I can do. And he did. He put it together. Yeah. And the next year, we went down to Warwick Mall, and the first year we were at the Warwick Mall, we filled a 48-foot tractor trailer full of toys. The third year I did it, the first year I was at the Warwick Mall. But then again, it was live on cable television then. 4 hours live on TV. And I used to bring in all these entertainers to sing. And I even had the 1 year, even had the piano player from the group Chicago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, did a gig there. Another one, we had another major actor from one of the, can't think of who he is anyway. Now, he was connected with, the Who. I think it was
sure.
the Who.
Yeah.
He was a lead singer of the Who, or one of the big
Amazing.
big names back in the day.
Yeah.
And over the years, we had some great guests. And Corey and Ryan Welch were very big into.
I know. They
the
brought
Toys
me
for
one
Tots.
year to check it out, and I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, they had an awful lot to do with our Toys for Tots. They're two very creative kids.
They really are. They're the best.
They started with me when they were like 14 years old. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you do?
I do. I know their history. They're so great. I mean, they're just the talent that they have, that they bring to what people see on Channel 12 is just incredible.
Yep.
They're incredible.
They were both very talented from the start. You know, they started here just doing little things. They went to the camera. They went to running the character generator, and then Corey says, "Can I direct?" One time I said, "Why not?"
Yeah.
I let him direct, and then Ryan wanted to direct. Okay, you can direct too.
And the nicest, just like the nicest people.
Oh
too.
yeah, they were great kids.
Yeah.
They really were great kids, all the way through. They're like my kids.
Yeah.
They're like, that's what I treat them like. That, you know. They were good kids. They still are. They
Yeah.
still are good kids. We're not kids anymore. How old's Corey now? He's got to be in his 30s.
Yeah, he's my age. I won't disclose my exact age or his exact age, but he's my age.
He's in his middle 30s.
Yes, that's right.
He's in his middle 30s. Because they were here. Got to be a dozen years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. At least 12 years. Maybe more. A while.
Again, I told you, math is not my strong suit. Numbers are not my strong suit.
So did you meet your husband at Channel 12?
No, we actually met before when I was working at the Warwick Beacon. We met at a press conference
Oh.
for pension reform.
Oh, that must have been exciting.
Well, I mean, at the time, he was sort of the go-to reporter on pension reform, and I was confused.
Oh, you went into math.
Exactly. So we found ourselves sitting next to each other at some sort of a briefing, and I knew who he was because, again, he was, big in the reporting scene on that topic. And we got to chatting, and like most millennials, we friended each other on Facebook.
Oh.
And then he asked me out for a drink, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
He asked you out for a drink. Where did you go?
To the Congress Tavern in Providence.
You got me there, the Congress Tavern.
I think it's still there. I think it's on Congress Street.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Congress is a side street,
Yes.
right?
Yep. Sort of downtown.
Right, yeah. Between Washington and Wade Boston, I think.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's over near. I think it's like the G Pub entrance, Providence G over there.
Right, yeah.
Mhm. So that was our first date. Yep.
Wow.
Back in 2012.
Now, is G-Pub still there?
I think so.
That's the one with the rooftops,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, that used to be pretty good. I used to go there.
Yeah.
Now and again, once in a while,
Yeah.
when I was out clubbing.
Yeah. Same.
And I don't drink.
You don't?
I haven't drank in 40 years.
That's great.
And
I'm not much of a
The
drinker.
reason I know it is because I stopped drinking when I bought a restaurant. I wasn't much of a drinker anyway, but I said, I will not be like most pub owners and be,
Yeah.
my own best customer. So I said, I'm not drinking. That was in 1984.
Wow. Good for you.
That's 40 years.
But you're a coffee drinker. Are you drinking coffee?
No, that's watered down cranberry juice.
Watered down cranberry juice.
It's actually water with a little bit of cranberry juice just for color.
I was going to ask you your coffee order, but I guess it doesn't apply.
It does apply. I drink one coffee a day.
And how do you take it?
Iced coffee only.
Just black.
No, a little bit of 1% milk.
Okay.
No sugar.
I'm always fascinated by people's coffee orders.
Really? Know what? Do you know? Does that mean anything? That
I don't
what they
know. I don't
drink?
know what it tells me about you, but I'm glad that I know it.
really?
Yeah.
You don't have any rationale that you can give me for it? What?
I mean, I could make something up. Tells me you're straightforward. No frills, no fuss.
Well, that might be true.
Okay.
That might be true. Yeah. And people wonder why I don't drink hot coffee. I don't drink hot coffee. Never.
Why?
I don't like it. I like iced coffee.
There you go. You know who would agree with you is Kayla Fish, my co-anchor.
I want to have her on the show.
Yeah, well, you can talk about your hot coffee,
The
aversion.
Yeah. Who the hell? What did I have on here from Channel 12 recently? I know. Oh, God, I can't think of her name now.
Describe her.
Morning.
Kate Walsh?
Yes.
Great. I love
Thank you.
Kate.
Thanks for the help.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the help.
Love you, Kate.
Nice person. She lives in Massachusetts.
That's right.
She lives down there. In fact, I know the town. It's right after Westport.
Yeah, she lives sort of near Cape Cod. Yeah.
Right. It's on the water.
Yeah.
In fact, I told her about a doctor I have that he's a wild man, and he's former Navy jet fighter pilot turned doctor. Imagine going to your commandant, being a jet fighter pilot, which is a Top Gun pilot.
Yeah.
You know, in the Navy, and having to have I still to this day when I say it I go why? He's Top Gun pilot in the Navy, and his detail is in San Diego, California. I mean, what better part of the country could you want to live in?
Yeah.
And he goes to his commandant every month. He would have to fly, get his time in. So he would fly out west, and there's nothing out there. There's no islands to land or whatever, or places to go unless you go all the way to Hawaii. So he'd fly halfway to Hawaii, turn around, bring the plane back, get his time in. But this day he tells his commandant, look, you know, instead of just flying out there in 2,000 miles for nothing, he said, you mind if I take the plane to Michigan? He goes, Michigan? What do you want to go to Michigan for? He says, I want to apply to medical school.
Wow.
And that's what the commandant said. What do you mean? He goes, you got the best job in the world. What do you want? He goes, I always wanted to be a doctor too. So he lets him take the plane to Michigan. As the story goes, he tells me the story because we've become very friendly. He takes the plane to Michigan, goes to Michigan State, and he applies, but he's already late for applying.
Okay.
So he ends up meeting with the dean or the president, I don't know which it was, and he's in the conversation, they're talking for a little while, and he says, well, you're going to have to come back tomorrow because I got another appointment. He goes, oh, I can't. I got to get the plane back. So the dean said to him, well, just change your flight. And he goes, no, I got to get the plane back. He goes, yeah, change your flight. And he goes, no, I got to get the plane back. He doesn't get it.
That he's the one flying it.
So he finally said, so, well, wait a minute, what do you mean you flying a plane? He goes, yeah. What kind of plane is it? So he said an F-16, I think it was, which is a Top Gun plane, right? And he goes, oh, my kids would love to see that. Any shot of us following you back to the airport or whatever? And they go, sure. So the short of it is he ends up letting his kids climb in the plane and everything, right?
Fun.
So obviously he got into medical school.
That's all it takes, I
So
hear.
he becomes a doctor. And we're down in, oh God, I can't think of the town too. It's right after Westport,
Mattapoisett.
Yeah, she lives there, right near it. That's what we got in the conversation about. He lives there on the boat, and outside of this house, it's a gorgeous house I went to with about $4 or $5 million, right on the water. In front of the house, he invites me down there one Saturday. He says, bring a bottle. Now, I don't drink, so I don't have a bottle, right? But I did have an unopened bottle from my restaurant in the 80s that I had of the good schnapps there, ginger schnapps.
Okay.
But it had a fancy name. It wasn't just ginger schnapps. It was a square bottle.
Square bottle.
Anyway, so I take it with me. I said, what's this about one Saturday? There's a whole bunch of people. There's 3 guys in suits and scuba diving gear. What's going on here? I said, well, we learned, because he does all kinds of research too, besides being an orthopedic surgeon. He does all kinds of research, and in Greenland and all kinds of crazy places. He says, oh, give me the bottle. He says, this isn't wine. I told you I don't have any liquor in my house. It's an old bottle. So he took it. It was the only one that wasn't wine. And there's a whole bunch of people there, and they all got these bottles of wine, and him and the other scuba divers take the wine out on a boat, and they put in this big net, and they're diving down, and they're going to tie it to something, and they anchor it down there, and they're going to leave it there for several months, and they're going to see barnacles, see what happens, how the barnacles collect on the different colors. Maybe they're attracted to the different colors of the wines and whatever. Well, they haven't pulled it up yet. That happened. That was last September.
I'm curious
I'm
to
going
see
to be
the
invited
results.
Next month. They're going back to pull it up.
Oh, fun.
To see what's there. to see if it's all connected. It's like 20 bottles that they put down there.
Wow.
I
And
said,
this
what if
is
somebody
off the.
comes out and steals them, huh?
I know. Maybe, hopefully, they're still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Off the coast of Mattapoisett or
Yep.
Westport?
Mattapoisett.
Okay. Very cool.
Right in front of this big, beautiful house.
Nice.
Right there. They had a big deal. It was a big. They had it all catered, fancy catered. It was a pretty cool
For the
ordeal.
barnacle bottles. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And I ended up going to Cuba with him.
When?
This was when Trump, the last year of Trump, when he said nobody goes to Cuba anymore. Shuts down Cuba for even.
Yeah.
They used to allow teachers to go there, whatever. Nobody goes to Cuba. Well, we left from Key West on his 75-foot research vessel, the doctor's research vessel, and we went over to Cuba in the middle of the night. We spent a week in Cuba.
How was it?
It was awesome. It's like going back in time.
That's what everyone says because
Oh.
the cars are old.
All the cars, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they stopped 1959, because that was taken over.
Yeah.
Castro took it over in 1960.
Yeah.
And late 59, early 60. So there was no more American cars. There was a blockade after that, you know. So all the cars there are 1959 or older. And now, in fact, the first car we get in was a 57 Chevy Bel Air 4-door, and I know my cars. I
Yeah.
worked on a lot of cars as a kid, and owned a lot of cars. And I said, we're in the car for about 5 minutes. We stop and we're like, could you pull over for a minute? I said to the kid, young guy driving, he pulls over. I go, what's the matter? I go, can you open the hood? And the doctor and a couple other guys are saying, what are you doing? What's the matter? I said, this is not a V8, because that car, you could tell certain cars back in the day, they would have the V, like a V8 on them. And this was the Chevrolet had, in the trunk, it had a V on it for a V8, and right on the fenders it had the V. And this had it, so it should have been a V8. I said, but it doesn't sound like a V8. Open hood, it was a 4-cylinder Kia motor and transmission.
Wow.
It went from a rear-wheel drive V8 Chevrolet engine to a 4-cylinder front-wheel drive Kia motor.
That's
Korean
incredible.
engine in that car.
Whew. It's incredible how they can retrofit the body and just put in a new.
They're good at chrome. They make great chrome. They do chrome bumpers and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
which sadly they don't have bumpers anymore. It's really troubling. I find troubling.
Yeah.
Because that's why it costs so much after a car accident, because the bumper's part of the car today.
Right.
Whereas the bumper used to protect the car.
Right.
Now it's part of the car. Guess what you've done? Guess what you've done right now?
What?
You officially spent an hour with Bob.
Oh my gosh.
You
What an
did it.
honor.
You did it.
I did it.
You did it. You made it through.
It was a pleasure, Bob.
made
Thank
it
you for
through.
having me.
Yeah, but I did all the talking.
I loved it. I loved listening to your stories. You made me feel comfortable. It's good.
Well, I hope I do that. That's
Yeah.
the plan.
Yeah.
That's the plan. We make it. Well, I'm glad I got you here again.
Yes.
Don't be such a stranger.
Let's
10,
not wait
12
another
years,
11
a dozen
years.
years, 11 years, or whatever it was. Right?
Yeah.
We got to do it sooner than that.
Sooner. You just let me know.
Oh, Kim Kalunian, when are you on now? Tell us when you're on.
I anchor the 4 o'clock news and the 5:30 news, and sometimes you'll catch me filling in here and there for Mike Montecalvo and Shannon Hagee on some of our other shows as well.
They've all been on the show.
Fabulous. They got to come
Everybody
back
you just
too.
mentioned has been on this
Oh,
show.
good.
Except Kayla Fish.
Kayla, you're next.
Kayla. What's her name? Sheena Lasciuto's been on the show too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. She's a peach.
We have the best people at Channel
You
12.
do. You have great people.
We really do.
Are you telling me to wrap it up? Is that what you're telling me? All right. Well, we're wrapped. We're wrapped.
We're done.
All right. All right. You want me to say bye? All right. I'll say bye. And folks, thank you for spending an hour with Bob and Kim.